Good afternoon. It is Thursday, August 26, 2021, and I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Harlan Municipal Utilities Board of Trustees to order. First item would be the approval of the agenda and any conflicts of interest.
I make the motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Roll call.
Michelle, aye.
Terrell, aye.
Reese, aye.
Seibert, aye.
Terry, aye.
Next item is the approval of the consent agenda. It includes the minutes of the August 12th board meeting, abstract of claims number 1195 in the amount of $795,066. Upcoming board meetings, electronic on September 9th and in person on September 23rd.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I second.
Roll call.
Michelle, aye.
Terrell, aye.
Reese, aye.
Seibert, aye.
Terry, aye.
And item 4, letter of recommendation and notice of award for the Harlan Municipal Utilities pressure filter number 1 repairs for the bid received from All Service Contracting in the amount of $148,375.
Yes, we had a bid opening last Thursday. All Service Contracting was the single bidder. The engineers had originally estimated this work at around $152,000, so it came in slightly under what the bid was expected to be. So the recommendation of the engineer was to go ahead and approve All Service Contracting and $148,375 for the media replacement on horizontal pressure filter number 1.
Are they the same company that did the first one?
Yes, same
Okay.
company did
Same
the first
company. Similar price or?
one. Slightly higher. I think the other project was around mid 130s.
That's the times we're in right now.
Yeah,
And that's still working as planned and
still running clean, nothing bleeding through. So
nice.
it appears to have resolved the problem.
Well, I will make a motion to approve the recommendation of the engineer.
I'll second that.
Roll call vote.
Michelle, aye.
Terrell, aye.
Reese, aye.
Seibert, aye.
Terry, aye.
Okay.
Who motioned that? I
did,
didn't get it,
Terry.
Terry, in second. No, what?
Item 5, donation to the Peterson Family Wellness Center for maintenance repairs of the Lewis Family Aquatic Center.
Yes, we'd had some discussion on this, and what's going on is the wellness center, they're at a point where they want to replace some equipment, make some repairs and upgrades to the swimming pool, some other items. So they're in the midst of a fundraising drive. Historically, the board has done some, not done some, depending on what the situation was. My opinion on this one is it's more about economic development. It's one of the things that makes Harlan, in my opinion anyway, attractive when you're trying to recruit new people and particularly younger people. It's a very well maintained, very well operated. This is a little bit different than the football field project, which the board declined to participate in. That was oriented more toward a single sport, single activity, single group of people, whereas this is more of a broader community-wide type project. And the discussion to date was to potentially use some of the funds from the Economic Development Fund. So.
I will speak on this, having been on the board for quite some time. I was not in favor of the football field, and I'm also not in favor of this one. I don't believe that the ratepayers of Harlan have a responsibility to an organization that is charging for the use of this center. It's not like it's open to the public. And also they're funded by a great number of different sources. I think this is outside of our scope of economic development personally. I felt that way the last time we voted on this, and I will continue to feel that way. So if anyone else has anything to add,
I've got the opposite opinion, and everyone's entitled to their opinion. I think it's important to have in Harlan, and I agree with Ken. I think it helps bring people into town, and the more people we have in town, the more power we sell, and I think they've been a great partner for Harlan, and I think we should support it.
Do I have Can I make an opinion?
You can discuss, you just have to abstain from voting.
I think it would be absolutely wonderful if we helped them out. Just because everybody uses it. I mean, I don't care. I mean, you've got the swim teams are using it. You've got, it's full all the time. You've got quite a number of people using that wellness center. I mean, Shelby County State Bank did a donation. I just think it's,
That's why we've got it up for discussion, so, yeah, thank you.
Well, my concern is same as what I said before. We've had a large number of unbudgeted items and everything that we're going through on this, you know, for the vote and everything. I just, you know, I think it'd be, I just can't see us putting money for that right now.
But we do have a fund for this.
We have an economic development fund. It's funded with electric and gas funds. I've never been able to determine what the original purpose of it was. It existed when I came on board, and it's basically been a static account just drawing interest from savings in the years that I've been here.
So there's money in it.
there's quite a lot in there.
Yeah, over $200,000 in the fund.
Okay.
So giving $10,000 is not a big deal.
Typically, I would expect a economic development fund to generate a new customer or new consumer or new usage from HMU. Is that a part of this deal, or is this just to
This is
maintain the existing facility?
Maintenance on the existing.
That's not
And
really,
they're buying new equipment and.
New exercise
It's,
equipment.
it's an upgrade to the facility.
it's an upgrade to the facility. Would it be but as an economic development for HMU, would it increase their usage with HMU in any way?
Well, of course, with new equipment, they're gonna put more and new and better equipment in there, so of course it's gonna use more electricity. And plus they feel the water, they use the water. And that pool's used all the time.
I just think it's an important thing for the community. It's, and I get where you guys are coming from too. I absolutely understand that. But I think it's an important economic impact on the community and you know, if we don't maintain it, we won't have it.
And the funds for the $127,000 or whatever is not coming from the economic fund anyway, right?
I'm sorry, the what?
The funds for this boat doesn't come from this fund at all.
No, all the expenses and everything else for the petition are within the telecom utility.
Okay, so it has nothing to do with,
No.
This little fund.
This economic development is all electric and gas funding.
and it's economic development, so it's to
That's
better the
That's the
community.
name on the account, the way it's been established. Like I said, I've not been able to find any information as far as when it was actually set up or what the original purpose was, other than just, it's called economic development in our funding on our accounts.
So to better and maintain the community.
So there's no policies for the economic development funds?
I've not been able to find any. What the original purpose was or the intended purpose of it, either one.
So does
That could
everybody-
be something that we need to,
It seems,
Established.
that does seem like something moving forward. There should be a better definition of what those funds are available for, and where did the money come from in the first place?
Funded from the electric and gas utilities.
On an annual basis or
Uh,
from windfall?
It was, I believe it was, and I don't think it was a monthly. I think, well, I can't really address that, I guess, because all I know is the percentage that it's split out, how much of it's tracked through the electric and how much of it's tracked through the
Yeah,
gas.
is there a
percentage.
procedure by which a business that was planning to expand could apply for that kind of
We
grant?
don't have any procedure for anything to do with that.
Years- We do have a resolution from years ago, and I don't remember the first name. Was it ZC Sterling Jean? Because I know you worked down there. when it first came, we did do a resolution to offer them some money if they hired so many people and got so many jobs in the town. And then we have another resolution for another similar business, but I can't remember the exact dollar amounts.
Included in jobs creation tied to economic development.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Generally speaking, economic is tied to job creation. So it's,
And it can be job creation, it can also be saving jobs too.
Right.
yeah.
Maintaining jobs.
I mean, we're all trying to be happy people. We're trying to be nice so that we can be done with this vote and make some people happy. I mean, I think it would make a lot of people happy if we gave them money. Because, I mean, HMU right now is, got a dart against us.
At some level, this is ratepayer money, and we have to remember that. I take that stewardship very seriously when it comes to giving away ratepayer money.
And a lot of the ratepayers use it.
I believe they paid for that service.
Right, but
So do we have a motion to make a donation in a dollar amount?
And you have to abstain, Michelle, is that correct?
I
And
ha-
you'll have to have 3 for it to pass.
Yeah.
I have to abstain because I work at Mertu, because I don't work at Peterson.
No, but it's funded through Mercury. So it appeared we'd be a 2-2 split.
I don't think we need a motion at all, I think we just take no action on it.
That's what I think.
Okay, so
Okay.
you tabled due to lack of a motion.
No motion, are you tabling it or
Or-
you're just no motion?
No motion
It's
has
gonna be
been
done.
brought forth. Okay. Onward to item number 6, Water Conservation Policy number 6, Tier 1 water warning.
Okay, we've reached the point in our annual usage, normally heavy usage through the summers. We've gotten through the summer in pretty good shape. Our customers, we want to thank our customers for continuing to conserve. They've helped us out a lot through this time period, this situation. But we're reaching the end of the summer, and we're still able to maintain water production. So the recommendation is that we return to normal operations effective September 1.
That'd be returning to a watch or to
No,
completely?
normal operations.
Normal operations, okay.
With the caveat that we'll continue to monitor it, and if we get in a problem, we'd have to return to a watch. But right now, based on usage over the last few weeks and based on production, we should be able to return to normal operations.
Well, that's a bit of good news.
Yeah, so let's just say September 15th, all of a sudden we find that, okay, we need to go into a warning again. Does that take board action, or is that something we can just, okay, based on what we're seeing, that you can make that call to go back into a warning?
Does it take resolution to enact it?
I can't remember what the policy states. I can go grab it quick if you want to see if it, I mean, it's
And
the policy.
maybe it doesn't matter, if we need to have a quick board meeting, maybe we just have it if it ever comes to that.
It's the policy, and I believe that Ken has the authority to put it into effect without it actually coming to a board
To the
meeting.
board.
Because I think he had the authority to go up to the next step if we
Yeah.
needed to.
Yeah, because the original board action was to implement the revised policy, so.
I guess my concern is that everybody's gonna think, oh, great, we're out of this water warning and now we can all water our lawns.
Yeah, but I think we're gonna be past that.
Yeah, and we've had more rain than expected. I've certainly mowed more times this year than I did last year, so.
But we will, in the letter, we have the caveat, that we're still asking customers to conserve wherever possible, but to do so without us having to implement a water watch or water warning. And just generally speaking, we continue to monitor the aquifer. The last, my understanding, Dark, correct me if I'm wrong, We're no longer seeing a decline in the aquifer, but it's stable, but we're not seeing any increase. So it's going to take a while before the aquifer ever replenishes based on current conditions. So.
And this notification will be mailed out as a separate mailing to all customers so that everybody gets it at the same time. Otherwise, those customers in cycle 3 won't get it till like the 22nd of the month.
So we have
it'll
to
be-
send a mailing?
It'll be pretty dated.
Yes, we do have to do a notification when we change.
The policy that
status.
was approved by the board states that we would do a mailing. Because not all of our customers read the newspaper or listen to the radio or follow the Facebook page.
Okay, so we need a motion on this.
I think that motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Michelle, aye.
Terrell, aye.
Reese, aye.
Seibert, aye.
Terry, aye.
Informational items only.
Okay, Cahoy Pump Service, this was the 3 wells we did in the fiscal year 21-22 for wells 4, 5, and 20. And then the McClure invoice for $54,000 is for the risk assessment we had to do based on EPA mandates. The also engineering on the pressure filter number 1 repairs, expert witness regarding our ongoing litigation, and then the raw water development project evaluation. So.
And on the Cahoy pump service, we didn't see a marked increase on that we were expecting.
When we did the first 3 in the last fiscal year, in June, I think we saw maybe a 30 to 50 gallon a minute increase. But the ones we did this year, or this fiscal year in July, I think we saw like a 120 to 150. So we did see some improvement on the last go round from the last 3 wells.
Okay. Director's reports.
We haven't had these for a while, so I thought I'd give the directors the opportunity to just kind of bring the board up to date on some of the ongoing activities. So, Dar, you want to start us out?
Yeah, something we haven't done for quite a while. Gene brought up last week the Prairie Fire, like working with us down there. I just want to commend our guys for the work they did down there in the Dexter area, because they put in a lot of hours down there and to keep up with the development that was going on. So I just want to commend the departments for the diligent work they did down there too also. We've talked about this, but the urge test, emission test on the cat generator was done and completed and passed, and our next one will be due 2023 to get back in compliance on the 5-year rotation that we're doing.
Speaking of that, have we actually used the generator at all this summer?
No. Just when they had that vortex, we could have probably put it online at that time, but we were waiting for a call from them to say do it, but they never did, so it maintained. So.
Okay.
And then David, he's working on his apprenticeship. He had completed Module A, as everybody knew, but he will be going in September to retest to try and complete Module B now. So he'll be in his, hopefully complete his second and be in his 3rd year within the next month. So he's working forward towards that and doing a good job at it so far. So. And then the crews are continually trying to keep, or are keeping busy with work, and a lot of locating that's been going on in the well field and that. They've had to replace a streetlight pole that was hit, on the industrial, and then they also had one pole out on the farm line that they had to replace from just rotted out and broke. So they've also been working on Morris Avenue in Lincoln. They had to replace the 2 transformers in there that was bent, and they couldn't get elbows and that on, and they had a fault there was what it started. And it's old eccentric wire that was there that folded, so they pulled in 2 new strands between 3 transformers and got the old eccentric out and got that area back up and going. I mean, they had to reroute the power until they got this all switched out, but that's been completed. And we've got some old eccentric around town that hopefully we can replace, that we'll talk about coming up in our next phase that we do. So. They also had a fault on 807 Victoria, and they repaired that was the same way, Evelyn Centric, that's just folded. And then they had a hit on Baldwin with a sewer hit, and they replaced that, fixed that. And then, like I said, they had a lot of locates in the well field with all the new infrastructure, not the design infrastructure that they were doing, plus all the new well test drills that we just drilled here this summer, so for monitoring of the aquifer for the new wells that would be put in. So. They had relocated a service on Cheyenne, got that done. They had their pull top bucket rescue classes and completed that. Things they got to do yet, trim trees. Hanson House has a new electric service going in. And then we got the pole removal yet. We're still working with Medicom and Windstream to get off of their infrastructure and buried so we can get our pole removed. We and Gene have been talking back and forth, trying to work and get them fired up to get off of our poles. So, I'd just like to attaboy Dean and David and Stephen. They're on call every other week. You know, we haven't been able to replace or find anybody, so I just want to tell them guys thanks because they're continuously every other week. And David, you know, as an apprentice, he's been on with Stephen every other week, but yet he's been stepping up and helping Dean out on his weeks also too. So I just want to give a little kudos, you know, thank him for that. And then last, we're working with P&E on our 69 line. We haven't did an inspection on the hardware and treating of the poles in a while, so we got P&E working on an estimate for a budget item on that. And then we also got them working on a budget item for the last phase of the down south and replace the overhead to underground down there. So when we get some of that information back, we'll be able to bring that to the board. That's all I have on the electric. Any questions on that?
The poles from the alley on 4th Street, in between Durant and, live on Durant and Court Street. Medicom's all done and buried all those.
Yeah, I don't know if there's, I'll have to look and see if there's Windstream still on there or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's still a wire on it, it's still one of the two entities that
Okay.
are still waiting to be removed off. I know Windstream has been in that area, but, Medicom has been in that area, but I don't think Windstream has yet, so.
Okay.
They were, what the situation is on the pole removal is, the indication we had is that we don't know the status on Windstream. They haven't responded to our inquiry. The Medicom project is scheduled to be completed this fall.
Okay.
And so what we'll do at that point in time is we'll take an inventory of the poles that are completely vacated, and then we'll probably bid that out for either someone local or for a contractor to come in and remove those in a bulk project, so.
Does Windstream have a drop dead date?
The only requirement for pole removal is there's, in the city ordinances, there's something about once they're notified, they're supposed to get off within 6 months. It's been about 18 months. The city attorney was going to look into whether there was really anything we could do as far as enforcing that. But short of laying their cable on the ground, there's not really we can do until they take their stuff off.
And the problem with that would be?
People walking over it, tripping over it, become a hazard, which we'd potentially be liable for, since we dropped it on the ground.
We can't put little stakes in? Or, you know, little 3-foot poles and,
Well, the alternative would
Line
be to
the
just cut
sidewalk?
it down and cut it up, but.
well, that would get Windstream's attention, wouldn't it?
But we really don't have anything from the standpoint of enforcement in any of the code or anything that we've been able to identify so far.
Well, this just seems like it has been going on forever
Well,
and ever
Yeah,
and ever.
Mediacom was delayed a little bit because of the pandemic last year, but they did come in and they have been working off and on. The other thing that hit them last year was the derecho, because they spent the bulk of last year over around Cedar Rapids working on stuff. The one problem we're having with Windstream is after they filed bankruptcy, basically everything ground to a halt with them. So they're just now starting to kind of get back into some of their construction and maintenance projects.
They are supposed to start replacing from College Place west on 44, starting the 29th would be next Monday, but I haven't seen any locates or anything come in. I've emailed their new engineer. He emailed me back and said, emailed me before and said, have a little patience with us. I'm a new engineer, just taking over the job. So I've emailed him back to see if he can give us an update or status on where he's sitting with this project and the future of it too. So hopefully we'll have some information before the next board meeting on that. But we'll wait and see if I get a response from him.
You know, it's been 18 months. I'd hate to see it go to 2 years and then 3 years and the poles are just there.
Well, and the problem is, I mean, one of the reasons, or one of the issues with the poles is there are some poles literally that are not very safe, you know.
Yeah.
And they need to be removed. So there potentially could be a point where we have no choice but to remove the poles for safety reasons.
And
We
I have-
definitely won't be putting any replacements up if one comes down, so.
And I have a feeling if homeowners see their cable laying on the ground, they're not gonna be real happy with Windstream either.
No.
It sounds like at least you have a contact person and
Yes, I do have a contact for he contacted me, you know, introduced him as himself as a new engineer, so like I said, I've sent an email to him, he hasn't responded yet back, I don't think we've seen it either, have you? I copied Gene on it also, so, and we'll just, hopefully tomorrow, the next day, he'll respond back, and we can maybe get something started, while we're rolling, I hope.
tell them that the poles are getting rotten and we're concerned about it.
Yeah, well, I told them the liability part of the poles, you know, and so that they're, you know, condition and that, so.
Good.
Any other, on any topic? On the gas side, the guys continue to do their daily work and locates, they keep entering new meter information into the system and changing out electric, single-phase meters and three-phase meters due to the annual testing and compliance that needs to be done. They're working on changing out all stop water meters too, gas meters, electric meters as needed when they do stop, keep the cash flow going. On the gas side, they're busy putting in new services, and they have the Hanson House and Gage Peterson's new building out there still need to have a service put into. They continue on their gas operator qualification testing, yearly compliance with the IUB. Eric is working on his welding recertification this month, so get him recertified for a welder. And throughout the year, this was the year we had to turn all the gas valves in the system, and they turned 200 plus gas valves and exercise and grease as needed. And we'll have, in the future, we'll probably have 2 or 3 that we'll probably gonna have to take out of the system to replace, for repair or replace. That entails where we're gonna probably have to bring an IMU to stop off our 6-inch mains and that to change these out, because it's too much of a system to turn off just to change out one valve, so maybe it'll shut off more customers than the IUB will let us, so that'll be something coming up here in the future. We're gonna order the valves in that end, and we'll get that set and going, so. Guys continue to do their monthly odor and cathodic checks for the state. We tested all the relief valves in the system that make sure that they're operating properly, and that is if someone has 2 pounds of gas in their system, which is over our standard 4 ounces, and we can only go 1.5 times above that with pressure, and then that relief valve has to relieve. So we test them with air every year to make sure that they're working operating correctly, so that 2 pounds doesn't go straight into the customer or business residents, you know, and hurt their regulators inside. So that has been done. They continue painting all the services for cathodic protection, and they had their annual business district leak survey that was done in July. Went through the whole uptown, Chatburn, through all the businesses and out. and found a couple nuisance leaks, and they've repaired them. One of them, for instance, was stopple fittings under the ground outside of valves that were leaking, so they just had to dig them up and rebuild the threads and reseal it again, is what that was. So just nuisance leaks is what most of them were. And then in November, we'll be doing our regulator inspections again. IME comes in and does them for us annually. We always like to have an outside entity come in, so they have compliance tests for us. Any questions on the gas? And then the water, they continue with their daily work, water testing. They've been doing well full maintenance, tree cleanup, mowing. Wells 20 and 8 were plugged, and I think we've already talked about that, just not in use anymore, and the DNR, to stay in compliance with them, that they had to be plugged, so we've taken care of that. The clay valve company, they do our annual maintenance on our PRV valves, that's pressure reducing valves in the system, from our high side to the low sides. They come in and maintenance them so they continue to work properly. And then Steve Hively, who does our annual leak survey, he came into town and walked the system, and he just found 2 small leaks, and they were both fixed right after he had found them. So that's a good thing. He comes in and he does a good job of finding that, and he pinpoints them pretty well. So he's worth his money, I believe, when he comes in and does it for us. And then if he misses something, he usually comes back and does it for free, so he's very good to work with. Donald said the lead and copper tests were done, and they came back good. No lead was detected in the system, so that's always a plus. And on the RO systems, they did the CIP clean in place on both of those, keep them running, operating smoothly over there. When pressure builds up a little bit, that's when they do the test cleaning, and so the water flows through them better, and doesn't build back up packet pressure on them. They replaced 3 services at 3 different locations. This was service lines going to the businesses. They just had some pinhole in them. I don't know if that's due to vibration and rock or what, but they just, a little spritzer, they just go in and fix them and replace the section that is gone there. So, they had to replace 5 shutoff valves inside customers' houses. That's the old gate valves with the packing in them, and we just go in and replace and put the ball valves in, so we don't have to worry about the packing in that anymore on those. Locates in the well field, we've already talked about that. They had 3 main breaks over the time of the year where they went in and repaired them. Just due to splitting and cracking, normal wear and tear on mains, so. And they activated that emergency connection point with Regional Water. We helped them out with 15 customers, and then about 33 days that we helped supply water to them, and that is done. I think it was roughly around 150,000 gallons of water that we served them, so. And they thanked us for that, and we'll end up sending them a bill for that. And then our guys continue to send in samples to be tested, at the state labs. They sent in the TTHMS and HAA5 test, which is chlorine tests, and that all came back good. So, and they continue to work with McClure on answering questions, and we send them information as needed. There's also working on changing out fire hydrants. They changed out 2, and we still have 3 that need to be changed out yet. They're just the old Iowa hydrants that are 50+ years old that are just now starting to leak. And when they exercise them, use them, and they shut them back off, they just won't seal up. So we're just going to replace them. So, and then we also have 3 valves in the system that either have broken water valves, that simply either broken open or broken closed, that we just need to replace. They're going to try and do that this fall. They just have to shut off a big area to get to those valves to replace them. That's all I have.
Just one comment on the main leaks. We follow ID&R guidance in how we address main leaks. And if we suspected there was ever any contamination or backwash, we would issue a boil order. But the guidelines we follow, basically the lines are pressurized or lower pressure, and we expose all the way around the pipe to eliminate any opportunity for contamination. A lot of the leaks, we basically just put clamps over the leak. So I mean, you know, not every leak involves replacing a section of pipe or anything like that. But we follow all the ID&R guidance, and our system is safe, and our customers need not be concerned if they see water work being done and we don't issue a boil order, it's not required, so.
Okay, thank you, Darren.
Yeah.
Ken, you're up.
Okay, Jenny, we gotta check with Jenny first.
No, you can
Yeah.
skip us, that's good.
Oh, sorry.
Other two brownies.
My bad.
For us all.
The only thing you didn't tell us was what they had for lunch.
Now, the one thing if I could, if Jenny could address on the latest on COVID, we did receive some new guidance. I believe you forwarded some of that information to the board as well.
Yeah, I was just gonna hand it out to them after the meeting.
Okay.
Just, the guidance that we're gonna follow that we received from Merchu. So, just so that you guys know, we are still, even though we don't have a policy, we are still using the guidance from our local health department.
Yeah. So,
Mine is actually really short. I will not talk as long as Dar does. Jackie from IMU, who is our regional coordinator, she has been here the last month. She did a walkthrough on our PPE program and went out with the guys to see what kind of equipment that they use and what type of protection that they need while they're using that equipment. She came back and did another OSHA walkthrough with the hearing equipment and what equipment they need to wear their hearing protection for. And then so we'll be updating both of those programs. And we are also going to be participating in the Career Cafe up at the school. I don't know if any of you guys read that in the paper or are aware of what they're doing this year. They're going to have individuals from the community come in and talk about careers that the students might be interested in. And then they'll go up there for like a 25-minute session, just kind of a question and answer session with students. So we were going to reach out to them, but they beat us to it today. And they had asked about linemen coming up, and then so we're going to send 5 employees up, one from each department, to go up and talk to them and get them interested in the public utility business and just answer any questions that they might have.
thank you. Jim, anything to add?
We've been continually working on our C-band relocation. That involves all the equipment sent to us so we can move off of those certain frequencies and make way for 5 gig wireless. So we've literally been getting brand new satellite receiver equipment from Disney, ESPN, C-SPAN, Turner Networks, Warner Media, HBO, and so forth. So we've been working on this since the beginning of the year. We're down to getting some C-SPAN receivers installed and turned up in September. So C-SPAN 2, C-SPAN 3 will go into HD format, whereas they're in standard def right now. Warner Media just sent notification to do a survey. They'll be sending us some replacement equipment for TNN, TBS, HBO, Cinemax, and some others. So the one point about this free equipment, the FCC is providing funds to the programmers for the new equipment as well. It's all funded by FCC for the C-band relocation to free up the 5 gigahertz spectrum. Now, along with that, we had our lump sum sitting in the clearinghouse for a couple of months. Just 2 weeks ago, it was approved. We have an invoice and a PO that was submitted. So our request for C-band relocation lump sum has now moved somewhere around Bethesda, Maryland. But we're expecting to see that maybe in October from last webinar we were on. So in July, we renewed our Disney ESPN programming contract, which now includes 20 programmers. Disney has just gotten huge. Along with that, we are required to add the Atlantic Coast Conference Networks, which is the college conference out east. That's Syracuse, Clemson, Florida State, Miami. I didn't realize Notre Dame was now in that conference, but there's 15 of them in total. That channel being HD is being added into our digital tier. So we've got quite a few sports programs up in our digital tier now, so you might want to take a look. If you're not subscribing to it, you might want to take a look at that. We're getting started on a Tivo electronic program guide upgrade that's required for some of our older DCH, DCX set-top boxes. So you'll see a more modernized format on the electronic program guide when we get that done. That'll probably be late September, maybe a little sooner. We're still working on apartment fiber home cutovers. We got it down to half a dozen locations. Guys have been on vacation, seems like. Starting in June, I had two guys on vacation all the way through July, so it kind of limits us on, work we can get done on those. But we're moving those back out again. Overnight last night, we completed our iMail DNS server upgrade. Went pretty well. We had a little hiccup on sending some mail. That got rectified early this morning, but that is completed and done. Jonathan's been working on our channel 14, 15, 16 productions, filming the board meeting. Did a really nice job on the fair. If you've had opportunity to watch channel 15 and look at the parade, the fairgrounds, the crowning of the Queen, and at the end of it, he put together a nice highlight film. It's really nice work on Jonathan's part. Coming up, Harlan Football Live Friday night on HMU Channel 14. We will be doing all home games live and along with volleyball games. So we are up testing our fiber feeds back and forth from the football down to here. Everything's working good. So everybody can tune in tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, and watch the game.
So all the home volleyball games will be live also?
The home volleyball games, not the tournaments. So I believe there were two home volleyball games on the schedule this year. And that's all subject to, change for school or they get canceled or weather or whatever. That'll take us into basketball. I believe we'll be doing live home games of basketball as well.
The one thing we might add, now that we have Jonathan on board, we'll start working back into the schedule where we tape city council meetings and county board meetings and merchant meetings and school board meetings. So when we were shorthanded through the spring and summer, we didn't have the manpower. But Jonathan's stepping up, so we'll be able to start covering some of that stuff again. So.
That's all I got.
Okay.
Who answers the phones after hours? When it's a cable problem?
It's a company called Neil Nova.
I was on hold for 28 minutes on Sunday for channel 4 and channel 256 wasn't working.
QVC, yeah.
Yeah, QVC.
And QVC
Christmas
Plus.
in July, yeah. Wasn't working, so I went to HD, but I called it in. And then the next morning, when I called, they said that I should mention that it took 28 minutes for someone to answer the phone.
Well, we're aware of some of that. We continue to work with them. Essentially what occurred was all of our calls used to be taken by the county EMF's office, and they notified us just about a year ago that they would not be able to do that again. And so we had to find a third party to take the telecom calls after hours. And so this is a firm that we retained, and they've been on board about 9 months, about 8 months. So we're continuing to evaluate the effectiveness of that service.
And just so you do know, our electric, gas, and water calls after hours go directly to the on-call person.
Yeah.
So those don't go to that call center. So if there is any electric or gas emergency, those go directly to our employees. So they would never be on hold for that long.
That was tough.
I can go back and look at those. We actually have the ability, they record all those, so I can go back and look at any of the calls that have come in, listen to them, and, you know, work with them to.
Make it better.
No, it was just not having Channel 4 and Channel 2. Is it? So I-
Channel 1004 was working.
Yes, it was.
It was,
working.
it was standard F.
Yeah, it was just.
It
like-
wasn't HD, so
Yeah.
sorry for the inconvenience.
That's all right. That's all right.
All right, Ken.
Now,
Now.
okay, now. All right. We had our all hands yesterday, went through and reviewed everything that was coming up on the board agenda, talked through some of the items, didn't have a lot of input from staff in that regard. And the only other thing I have to add is that the third week of August is Water Workers Week. And so we did put recognition of that in the paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, so. Other than that, we got through the audit. We'll have a review or a meeting with the auditors middle of September, and that should be on schedule then for the audit to come to the board at the September meeting. We're on about the second round of reviews on the water piping for the well field. So we have hopes that we'll still be able to get that out for bids yet this fall. But just depends on how soon we can get the revisions done and get the IDNR on board for permitting and such. So with that as a work in progress, we'll phase that in first to get a jump start on the piping. So that project's moving forward as well.
Have we had any feedback on the letter on the election or that we sent out?
I did a little Q&A, just kind of going through the thing that the CSRs use to respond to customer questions. The main things are, like what's it costing? The cost through the end of June was roughly $62,000. We project that the cost will be around $100,000 by the time it's all done, we get through the election. So we've responded to that. As you're aware, the information that was brought up in the petition has been proven to have been a false claim. But because of the way the Iowa Code is written, we had to proceed with our efforts. The city had to put it up for a vote based on the fact the petition was filed, regardless of the premise of the petition. But anyway, so that has been scheduled for a vote for November 2nd. Basically, the letter that went to customers just goes through that process of what initiated it, what our response had to be based on the Iowa Code, and then the fact that it leads up to an election in November. The bottom line being that the election is for the authority to sell. There's no mandated requirement to sell. And it'll be up to the determination of the HMU Board of Trustees as far as any change in the status of the utility. The election is solely for the authority.
Okay. But we haven't had any call-ins or questions?
We haven't had a lot of call-ins.
Not a lot.
I think the newspaper did a very good job on that article, so I think it explained it to people that do subscribe and read that article. It kind of explained everything that was going on, so when they got the letter, they weren't as confused, because if they did read that. But we've had just a few people call or come in and just reiterate what they thought, which is what was happening. So they're like, so we don't need to do anything right now. This is up for election. And then, so yeah, we haven't had a bunch of calls like we thought we would.
Thanks, Bob. Nice job.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
bet.
Good.
Yes, thank you. That was a nice article.
Yeah, I actually told all the CSRs to read the article too. I said it'll help you answer a lot of questions if people do call in, so.
Just the facts.
Okay, anything from anyone here? How about online?
Does anybody online have any questions or comments? Doesn't look like it.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you.
All right.